Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to this lovely session. We have with us Bhargavi. Bhargavi is a senior engineer with 6 years of experience. She holds more than six certifications from Microsoft, such as Microsoft Certified Data Scientist Associate and Microsoft Certified Trainer. Beyond her role in tech, she's also a Bharatanatyam dancer, and her performance has been recognized and rewarded accordingly. She's an avid explorer and accomplished musician. Today, she would be walking you through the AI. So we are celebrating Azure AI Day with you all today, and Bhargavi is going to take you through it. So the next 2.5 hour sessions that she holds with you, it would be an interactive session. All of you are requested to pay attention, and in case you have any questions, please do post them in the chat below. And I would request you to be very respectful while you are interacting with us on the chat, because everything shows up with Microsoft Azure developer community, and it doesn't leave a good impression if we don't do that, right? So with this, I would hand over the stage to Bhargavi. Thank you, Bhargavi, for coming on the early Saturday morning. I know you have a weekend off, but then thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thanks, Anamika, for hosting me. Just a second, let me share my screen.
um, I hope the screen is visible to all of you.
Is it visible or
Mm, yeah, it is visible. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi all. Thanks for joining today's session. And in this session, we would be seeing about how to build generative AI solution using Azure OpenAI. Wherein, with the help of the Azure OpenAI, what can we do is something that we would be seeing as part of this session. Also, we would be touch basing on a few things like how does the pricing go, and how can we develop the solution inside the Azure OpenAI, and what can we do inside the Azure OpenAI is something that what we would be seeing. So, before I get started, as Anamika has already introduced, let me give a brief introduction of myself. I am CR Bhargavi, working as a senior software engineer for Ford, and I am an MTech data scientist from BITS Pilani, and I am a Microsoft certified trainer and Microsoft MVP, and I do write articles and blogs at C Sharp Corner Forum, wherein you can find the blogs and articles by scanning this code, and you can get in touch with me post the session as well, and I would be happy to help um, through the social media which are available by scanning this code. Okay. The agenda for today's session would be like we would be seeing what is Azure OpenAI service and how can we develop the applications inside the Azure OpenAI, and we would also be seeing how can we apply prompt engineering with Azure OpenAI service, such that we can understand how can we use the generative AI solutions inside it, and we can also see how to use our own data inside the Azure OpenAI service. So it's like we will be having what is prompt, right from what is prompt engineering to and to how can we build our own data with the help of the Azure OpenAI is something that what we would be covering as part of today's session. So, what does the word Azure OpenAI service mean? It's like pre-trained models which are being available. We have the Azure OpenAI service which has been already available, right? So, what does this Azure OpenAI service offer? In like it would be a different one from the OpenAI services which are there, right? So it should be somewhere different, and so it is called as the Azure OpenAI service. So it's something like as the OpenAI services are available, it's one of the pre-trained models which are available as well, and we can have the model customization capabilities which are there for us, and it would also have the tools to implement the responsible AI solutions being there as well. What does we refer here as responsible AI is something like we can have, like, if we are going to use the data that what we need inside the Azure OpenAI, then it means like it would be trained. The data that what we give to OpenAI service will be used for training purposes. But inside Azure OpenAI, what it does is like it would be having the data what you give will not be used for training purposes. And that's an assurity that Microsoft provides you when you are about to use the Azure OpenAI service. And because of this, it provides the enterprise grade security, and you can go ahead and use that. So this is all about the Azure OpenAI service, and we can use this Azure OpenAI service in many things. Like, it can be offered for content generation. Say in case like you are giving in a prompt, and that prompt has to build in a few few things. Say like you want to build a content out of it, then you can still go ahead and use the Azure OpenAI service. Or if you want your Azure OpenAI service to be built like a chatbot and virtual assistant, then you can go ahead and build it with the help of it, and you can go ahead and use that like your virtual assistant as such. Or if you want to use it for translation, say in case like you are using it for for making it from French to English or from English to French, then you can go ahead and use that as well. Or if you want the summarization to be done, say in case like you have a meeting that needs to be summarized, and that needs to be like within 2 minutes or 3 minutes of time, you have to read the whole thing, then you would be going and using the Azure OpenAI service for that purpose as well. And for sentiment analysis, say in case like you want to read out the customer's review, and from that customer's review, like say in case that can be of anything, that can be of related to text, or that can be related to a media post, or that can be related to any opinions which are being provided by your customer in any kind of sort. Like, it can be of a paper format, or it can be written in some social media, and you have to read out that, and you have to make it a analysis over that, and from that you have to get the feedback out of it, and you have to start working on it. So that uses the whole purpose as such, right? So for those purposes, you would be going and using the Azure OpenAI service. Now that we understood how can we use Azure OpenAI, we have to start implementing the Azure OpenAI, right? For which the prerequisite would be like we have to register at this particular site, which would be like the one which has been mentioned over here. Say in case like you have, sorry, say in case like Azure OpenAI service is not free for all at this moment, at least. So what you have to do is like you have to register it over this link, and with your registration, you would be signing in with the help of your with the help of your data which has been there. Like, you would be registering it with your own professional ID there. And if your professional ID is being validated, then what you would be doing is like you would be having the access being granted for you, and that would take a minimum of 10 to 15 days. when the Azure OpenAI is being access is being granted for you. So as a first step, you have to have the Azure portal subscription. And once you have the Azure portal subscription, you have to register it. And one notable thing is like the Azure subscription that what you have, uh, and the professional ID, as well as this particular ID where you are registering it to, all should be of the same ID that what you are referring to. Because the ID that what you register on over here should be the same thing that what you are about to access on. Yeah, like your pricing will totally depend on your Azure portal subscription. So it would be like you would have to navigate inside the oai.azure.com to work on with the Azure OpenAI services once you get the access for it. So it should be something like your portal access and the Azure OpenAI service access should be of the same thing. Say in case like now everything is all set, and now you have to start using with the Azure OpenAI service. How will you do? It's like you have to create the services which are being there inside the Azure OpenAI service. Like what it would be doing is like you have to deploy a model which would be something related to, say in case like you would be using the Azure OpenAI service which would be there inside the portal. And once you have created that, you would be using the Azure OpenAI service, and with that you would be giving the subscription, resource group, and then region name, everything. And from there you have to start using on with that, and from there it would be you can navigate to the OAI portal which I had mentioned just now, and you can use that and create your instance. This is one way of doing it. Or else you are so familiar with CLI, and from that CLI you have to test it. So it's possible too. How you can do is like you can create the resource with the help of the same things that what we do here, you would be doing it over here as well. Like what you would be giving here is as such the cognitive services has to be mentioned, and then you will be hitting on with create, and then you would be giving all those details which are necessary for you, and along with the subscription ID. And when you hit on the Azure CLI, it would be creating a resource for you. So this is how you can create a resource inside the Azure. And one such thing that what we can do is you can have it in different regions. Say in case like it can be of East US, or it can be something which has been very near to us. So you can go ahead and use that in any region which is so near to you, and you can give a name for it, and from there you can start using it. Also, the pricing tier totally depends on what you are trying to do. Like it would be of two types. One would be of free tier, and uh, one would be of free tier, and one would be of standard. All those things that what we are seeing here as part of the theory, we would be seeing the same under the demo part as well. I would be giving a base on what the Azure OpenAI service would be doing on, and from there it would be like we can go ahead and develop the solutions that what we are about to do inside the Azure OpenAI service as in the demo part. So, say in case like you have now three things are down for now. Assume that like you have got the subscription, you have created the resource, and you have also got the Azure OpenAI access. Next thing what we would be doing is like you would be navigating to the Azure OpenAI Studio. So once you navigate to the Azure OpenAI Studio, what you would be doing is like you would be going to oai.azure.com over there, and this would be the site where you would be working on with the OAI models which are there. So once you navigate there, you would see different kind of things over there, like you have playground, you have management, you have models, you have data files and everything which are being there. We would come to the playground at a later part, but playground here means like how do you play your model with the prompts that what you have. Like this is the place that what you would be using for testing is what the playground means in layman terms. And management is something like you would be having the deployments being there. What do you mean by deployments is like you would be deploying the various kind of the models which are being there, and there can be of n number of model that what you deploy on as well. And from the model you can go ahead and choose the model and deploy it based on the different kind of version that what you have. And data file is something like when you want the different kind of the data file to be loaded on, you would be giving on with the data file and you would be using it. And the quota is something like how much you have used your Azure OpenAI service is something that what you would be seeing on inside the quota. And content filters is something like when you want your Azure OpenAI service to be like restricted, like say in case like you have different kind of the content which would be entered, right? And you want those things to be like say in case you want those things to be monitored and those things has to be filtered, then what you would be doing is like you would be adding on with the content filter over there, and from there you would be having the content filter operation, content filter being applied, and you will have that filtration being applied to all of your prompts and everything that what you try to use. So these are the different things which are available under the Azure OpenAI service, and from there you can go ahead and use that. So what are the different kind of the generative AI models which are being available is like you have from the basic one to the advanced one that what you have, you will be having everything of generative AI models which are being available under the OpenAI service. Say in case like GPT-3 is one of the model which is a basic model, right? Like you have GPT-3, GPT 3.5, GPT-4, GPT-4o mini, everything like, right? It is one of the trending one that what we have right now. So even when something is being published and from that you have to start using it, you will have the option of everything being visible, and from that you can go ahead and use that inside the model which has been available there. Like the model would be there, and from there you can have the base model and you can build it at any time. You will have the succeeded deployable everything which has been visible along with the model versions which are being there as well. So this is for this is for something like the text one that what you have for. But say in case like you have to generate the images kind of, or you want to generate the vision or anything something related to video or audio, anything is possible inside the Azure OpenAI, right? So what you would be doing here is like you would be using the DALI for it, for generating the images which are being there, and you can go ahead and use that like only the certain regions would be supporting it, so you should be aware of that regions, and you should be deploying your model under that particular region, and from that you can go ahead and use the AI model which has been there for you. Now that we had chose a model, and that model is being used for like you want to deploy it, unless you don't deploy a model, you won't be able to use that inside the Azure OpenAI, right? So for which what you would be doing is like, in the previous one we saw the model was being selected, right? So now you would come to the deployment tab, and once you come into the deployment, you would be selecting a model here, and then you would also select a model version, and you would also sorry and you would also select a deployment name there. Like your deployment name can be of anything that what you try to give on, like it can be of something related to GPT model version, like how do we say, it can be of the name that what you try to give on. And there are different kind of the advanced options which are being there as well, which we would be seeing on at a later stage in the demo part. And this deployment can also be possible with the help of the CLI, like what we saw for creating the model, right? It's the same way that what you try to do on with the help of this as well, wherein you would have the cognitive services, and then all should start with cognitive services, and then deployment create is something that what you try to add on, and rest of it is all same. And you have to mention on with the model name, model version, model format, everything, and from there your model will be deployed. That's it. Now that your model is being deployed, in your model is being used, and you can go ahead and use your model with that, and you can go ahead and start using it. So once you have used the model, now that you want to use your model for testing, right? In one of the previous slide where we saw about something like okay, this was the slide that what I was talking on, where we saw something about completion and chat. Completion is nothing but your playground will have different kind of option for testing, wherein when you want to test your model, then you will be going and using the completions. When it's about GPT-3 and earlier version, then completion would work very well for you. And you would be going and using the chat option when it's about GPT 3.5 and later models are being used. Say in case like you have deployed a model which is of about 3.5 or later, then you will be going and using the chat version there, and from which you can go ahead and have the deployment being done, and you will be using that. So this is the way that what you would be doing. I would be explaining you on those things. Now now that you want to test your model, so for which what you would do, you would be coming to the playground, and from the playground you would be testing it, right? So what you have to do here is like, you have to use your prompts as such, right? Like prompt in the meaning, what we refer here is like, we refer here as input, and completion that what we try to refer here is like the output from the model. So there can be of different kind of the prompt, and there can be of different kind of the completion based on the task that what you try to give on. That's where this whole slide defines you. Say in case like, your prompt says something like, I enjoyed the training course, and you have to find the sentiment out of it. So, what do we refer here? We are referring something related to classifying content, and the output would be of what we do here is like we would be we would be getting the completions out of it, like positive or negative out of it, and we would be referring based on that. And or else when we want to have the generating new content being there, like you want to generate the poem for your database, so you would be asking the Azure OpenAI to generate the content out of it. So what it would be doing is like it would be generating the content out of it, and you can have the response like this. Or say in case like you want to have the translation, then that's possible too. Or it totally depends on what kind of the task that what you are trying to give, and what kind of the output it would come as. If your if your words are something like summarize, or if you want it to be in different language, it would try to understand, and from that understanding it would try to give you back with the result from it, which is the completion part. Okay, now that we know how to test on with the help of the like the different kind of task that what we have, we want to test the model inside the Azure OpenAI playground. How do we do? It's like two things that what we had discussed. One is completion, one is chat. So completion is something like what we have here, like you will be giving on with a line, and with that below it would be giving you back with the result out of it. So it works very well when you have the three and below versions of GPT. But when you want your model to be like more interactive way, how do you do is something like you would be having the models being used with chat kind of playground. Like what does this chat playground mean is like you would be having the chat way of interaction, chatbot kind of way of interaction, wherein when you given a prompt, it would be trying to give you back with the result out of it, and from which you can select the result from there and go ahead and choose that. So this is something that the chat playground will be choosing on, and this is the both the difference between the chat as well as with the completions playground. Like the completion will have the answer below it, chat will have the answer which would be of chatbot kind of thing, and your answers totally depends on the parameter or temperature that what you choose on. So we I am not going to cover those as part of it right now in the theory part, but I would be going on with the demo part, and I would be like I would be helping you out on those things at a later stage. Now that we understood everything, like how does we kind of like how does we use Azure OpenAI? How can we deploy a model? How can we use the models inside it? How can we use the different kind of version? Everything, at least as a theory part, we understood it. We had been using a term, something called as prompt, being used. So, what does this prompt mean? Prompt is kind of like instruction that what you give to AI model that should do something is called as the prompt when you are referring to the prompt engineering terms. That's the same thing that what's been applied as of Azure OpenAI as well. So the prompt engineering is one of the trending terms which are being used, and you can go ahead and use that with the help of Azure OpenAI, or any kind of the interaction that what you have. So it's one of the NLP concept that involve discovering prompts to yield the useful result, is something that what we refer on as in terms of prompt engineering. So the prompt engineering is something like which would be dealing with the different kind of the prompts which are being there. We saw about prompts, something like you would be giving the AI model to do something, is something that what we saw. And when we are having many kind of prompts being played, and that becomes the prompt engineering. And how will your result be is like, if your answer is more precise, if your answer has to be of more precise, then it should be of something, your prompt should also be of more precise. Say in case like, you are giving to the prompt engineering, like you are giving in to the Azure OpenAI, or any kind of tool that what you are trying to use. And if you just given saying that, just summarize this, what will it do? It would try to get up with all the data that what it has, and it would be trying to give you back with the result. But when you are referring it something related to summarize this as a manager point of view, is something that what you are trying to give it over there. So what it would be trying to do is like, consider you had a meeting, and from that meeting has to be summarized, and that meeting as a manager is something that what you had try to give on, right? So you don't want to understand as a developer perspective, or you don't have to understand it as a business perspective. The meeting can go long for about 1 hour or 2 hours, but the manager has to understand it within 20 or 30 minutes of time, because that's where the manager plays a major role on. So if it's something related to manager, then that would be getting those points alone, and it would be trying to give you back with the result out of it. That's the difference of how your prompt has been more precise, your result will also be of more precise. And that can be of text to text format, or a text to image format, or text to audio format, or text to video format as well. Text to text, we have an example already been there, which is the OpenAI. Text to image, we just saw DALI can be used. Text to audio and text to video, we have whisper being there, and we can go ahead and use that particular things, like particular services which are being there as well. So these are some things which are about the prompt engineering, and we can go ahead and start using with the different kind of ways that what we have for the prompt engineering. So all the methods which are of same would be applicable for the Azure OpenAI as well. So the prompting has different kind of methods in it. Say in case like, it can be of instruction, like the translate from English to German is something that what you try to give on, and it would be trying to get that, and it would be giving you back with the result out of it. Or say in case like completion is something that what you would be having, and it would be like inducing the model to complete, like just we saw, right? It would be like, the model has to give you back with the result of what you need, is something that the completion would be giving you on. And or it can be of question, the simple question can be applied there as well. Or it can be of fine tuning. Fine tuning here refers to like, the ability to train the model with more data that what you have is called as the fine tuning, is being referred here. Like you will be having the different kind of the data, your own data, and from that you can go ahead and start using with the models, and it would be giving you back with the result out of it. That's where something called as the different methods which are being available for the prompting, and we can go ahead and use that. So we saw and we understood about the prompt engineering, as well as for prompt, how does the Azure OpenAI mean everything, right? So from Azure OpenAI, as it's been part of the prompt engineering that what we try to apply on, you can understand that there would be different kind of use cases. All these use cases then it's applicable for our Azure OpenAI as well, right? So it's the same thing. Like, you have named entity recognition, you have entity or sentiment analysis can be performed over it, or image captioning, or that can be of classification, summarizing, or that can be of keyword extraction, or that can be of language translation. Anything of that sort that what you want to use on, you would be going with Azure OpenAI, which is using the prompt engineering, and we can go ahead and use that. Now that we saw something like, at start we saw something like responsible AI, right? So there are some best practices which needs to be followed as part of the prompt engineering to make it a responsible AI part. And to make it a good one, what we have to do is like, we have to provide a clear instruction. What do you mean by clear instruction here is something like, you will you will be you will have to give it a clear instruction. Like, say in case you would be having it in the form of something related to this. Like, it's let's take the same example of what we saw. Summarize the meeting is something that what you are trying, and summarize the meeting for a manager is something that what you are trying to give. So summarize the meeting is something that what you had referred, and it would be summarizing who spoke what, and where does it happen, and what was the overall thing out of it. But summarize it as a manager, you are giving a clear instruction on what it has to do, and from there it has to pick on, and it has to give you back with the result out of it. So now you had given another word which has been like, you had given it for manager, you had instructed it, so that would be acting in that particular way. And your task has to be of split up. Say in case like, you have the complex task with you, and that complex task has to be split into different things. Like, you have to subtask it, and from that subtask you have to give it a clear picture to the prompt engineering, and from there it would try to pick on, and it would be giving you back with the result out of it. And one more thing is like, you have to structure your instruction that what you try to give to your model. Like, how do you give it a structure is something like, we have roles being mentioned inside the prompt engineering, for which I would be covering it as part of the next slide. And we can go ahead and have that particular thing being there, and which would be having the different kind of things being done for us, and from there we can go ahead and use that. So we will be also have to prompt the model to explain before answering. Say in case like, you have to ask for different kind of the justification to the model, and from which the model has to conclude on. So these are some things that what we try to do on as part of the prompt engineering. Okay, let's stop here for a minute to make sure that what we refer here as clear instruction. I'm just taking a minute of break and I would be back. Okay, I am back with it. Did you had a chance to go through the whole thing of how does we how does it make it clear? Like if you are providing the clear instruction, you will be having the way of your uh, your way of your result also been given with a different way, right? So it's the same thing that what we are trying to refer here for these many times. Like um if your prompt is being clear, then your answer would also be of so clear is something that what we are trying to refer on as well. So say in case like just saw something like the prompts that what are available inside the prompt engineering, right? So what do we mean by the role here is something like we have system, assistant, and user. Consider you are instructing the model to be of Shakespearean writing assistant, and that Shakespearean writing assistant has to work on, or you are when you given a prompt, it has to give you back with the result out of it based on the way that what the Shakespeare would be using, right? So it would be of that sort. Like Shakespeare would be using of something like the words that of his format, right? So those are the ways that what it would be trying to use on. Just a second. அண்ணா, அப்பா வீட்டு பேரு. Okay. um Sorry about it. So uh it's like the roles that what we try to use on, we would be having over here, like the system, you are instructing it to be like a system. Like consider the same example, like you have the Shakespeare and writing assistant being there, right? So when you have the Shakespeare and writing assistant being instructed, then what you would be doing here is like you would be using the words of die do everything, right? So you are asking it for as a as a prompt, you are asking it to write a short text to the dinner. So what it would be doing is like it would be giving you back with the result which are of I die decline, I must decline die invitation is something that what it's been added, and this is something that what it would be trying to give you back as a completion. So to put in very shorter form, system is something that what you are instructing to the model. Assistant would be the model wherein the completion would be given on. User is something that the prompt that what you try to give on. So these are the different kind of roles which are being there inside the prompt engineering, and these roles would be applicable for the Azure OpenAI as well, as it follows the umbrella of prompt engineering. Yeah. Now let's see how we can use the system message inside the Azure OpenAI. So as we saw that role system context is being used, what it would do is like it would be giving you to have the different ways over there. Like you are a usual helpful casual helpful assistant. You will talk like a American old film character is something that what you had tried to use on. And when the user is being given, what it would try to give is like, can you direct me to the library? This is the prompt that what the user had given. So the system has the instruction, so it's been instructed as it has to use the american old western film character, and from there it has to try to use on. So what can you expect out of the assistant? It can be of something like where would be the library. It's something of that sort, right? So it would try to give you back with a result based on that format. This is how you can go ahead and use that. There is something called as zero shot learning, one shot learning, and few shot learning, which has been applicable inside the Azure OpenAI. So, zero shot learning means when you give no example and when you ask the Azure OpenAI to generate it out of itself, then that's something called as the zero shot learning. When you give it a one example and when you try to ask out of it, then that becomes one shot learning. When you have few examples and when you get answer out of it, it has to answer on its own, then that becomes few shot learning. So it's something like role system context, the same thing that what you would be trying to give here. Like you have system being as you are an assistant that evaluates the sentiment of the customer feedback. So you have instructed to be like collecting the customer feedback, right? And user assistant can be of many things. Can you observe here? User assistant, user assistant, user assistant, user. So what would be the assistant that what it would try to give on? So these are the examples that what you had given here. One, two, three examples you have provided here. That was an awesome experience. Then you meant it to be like positive. I don't do that again is something that what it refers. Then that's negative. That's not worth of my time is something like again it's negative. You can't miss this is something that what you had tried to give on, then that should be giving you back with a positive, because You have given it something like the positive, negative examples being trained on it, right? So from there it has to try to pick on and it has to try to answer on. That's where it becomes like few short and few short learning and other things being done for you. And what it would be doing is like we have many things, or many things which has been there for the many things being given for, like, how do we say, we have chain of thought. One output has to get the output from the other output, and it has to give you back with the result out of it. Like, um let me not complicate over here. Chain of thought is something like your output would be dependent on some other's output. That's to be on a very layman term. And if your output totally depends on previous output, or yeah, previous output, then that becomes the chain of thought. Like, say in this case example, what is the sport easiest to learn but hardest to master? Give step by step approach your thoughts, ending in your answer is something that what we had tried to give on. So as a step by step, it had tried to evaluate. And at the first step, it had tried to give up few strategies that what it can try to use on. And as a second step, it had tried to use uh, the tennis, golf, and other things on what it actually does and how it's been different. So, as a step three, it is something related to the criteria. So, based on the criteria, you are evaluating it. So, what it would be doing, it would be going back and checking the, like, you would be considering the step two, and for here you would be considering the step one, and for step four, what it would be doing, it would be considering all three steps over here, right? So that's where the chain of thought comes in. The output of it would be depending on the many of the output which are there, and it would try to give you back with the result out of it. So that's something which can be done inside the Azure OpenAI as well. And you can go ahead and use that part when you have that as well. So this is something that what we saw already. How can you use the model which has been there is like, you can create your model, you can draft your model, train your model, and then publish, and then you can like keep track of your model. These are some ways that what you can do inside the Azure OpenAI. And what we can do is like, you will be having everything under the build page, like the model page that what you have over there, right? So it's the same page where you would be having the model and everything, and from there you can have the things being generated. And one notable thing is like, once your model is being ready to use, or once your model is being done, you can publish it as a web app. A web app, when once you publish it as a web app, you can publish it into some Power BI or Power Apps or Power Automate, and from there you can go ahead and start using it. So these are some ways that what you can do inside the model training. Now we saw until now on how to use the data and everything. Now let's assume that we will be having our own data being trained, and that data has to be of retrieve format. Like, that can be of the data source that what you want to load on. So for which what you would do is like, you would be building it inside the blob, and from there you would be getting the data. And once you have loaded it, you would be giving it back and you would be configuring that particular application, and you would be like giving the parameters and everything, and from there you would configure it to the OpenAI model for grounding purposes. What do we mean by grounding purposes here is something like you would have the model being there, and from which you can have the like you would be giving it for specific data which needs to be loaded, and it would be giving you back with the result out of it. So that's something that we would be using our own data. If you don't understand how do we use our own data inside the Azure OpenAI, we would be we would be coming across for it inside the demo part. We have the demo part being started now, and you would get to know on that part. Okay, let me not drag much time over it, and let me get back to the Azure OpenAI services which are being there. So now that you want to use your Azure OpenAI, for which what you would be doing is like you would be having the Azure OpenAI service being there, and when you have the service being loaded, then what you would do is something like your name has to be entered, and this is where I was talking about, like you would be having the name and everything being loaded, and from which you can have the subscription being loaded for you. And I don't want to take much time out of it, so for which I have already created something which is called as the Azure OpenAI Cog Search CRB, something that what I had given a name for it. So I'm going to use the same for it. How can we how can we search the Azure OpenAI is like when you go ahead and search for Azure OpenAI in here, then you would get the Azure OpenAI being available, and from there you can go ahead and start using it. And if you don't find something over here, then it means that you have not created any Azure AI services which are being there, and from that moment you can go ahead and start using it. Now that assume you have created the Azure OpenAI service. Okay, once you have created the Azure OpenAI service, what you would be doing is like you would be having the endpoints, manage keys, everything being there. And you would also see the explore and deploy option, which would be available at the bottom. So this would be something that which would be dragging you to the Azure OpenAI Studio over there. Like, how can we make it as safe as it would be? Is like you would have the different kind of the endpoints which has been there. I mean, I would be loading it as now, like my kind of subscription is like it, I mean, what it would be doing is like you would be having the endpoints being clicked, and from that endpoints when you would have the two different kind of keys, and from that two different kind of keys you can go ahead and start using any of it, or you can still change it whenever you need, and from that you can delete it off and you can store it or recreate it whenever you need the other one. And now I want to develop something out of it, for which I am signing on to the part which needs the Azure AI Studio. Okay, so assume that we have the things being there, and this is where something that I was talking about, yearly access playground and then model catalog. And inside the model catalog you would be having the different kind of the models which are being there, like o1 preview, o1 mini. These are some things which are very latest, right? Or as I said, you can go ahead and use the whisper for speech recognition. And then when you want to make it something like, you give it a text, and from which it has to speak out of it, you can go ahead and use the TTS model. Or when you have the when you want just the completions being there, then you would be going and using the baggage over there. So you can find different kind of the models which are being there, and from which you can choose the model that what you want on. And this will have different kind of versions as well being defined for it. And when you go inside the yearly access playground, what it would do is like, okay, you have to have the access being required for going inside it. And but for using the chat playground, is it's as simple as that, for which you can go ahead and start using it whenever you need. And you should assume that the your data has to be off the authorized part, and it's something that which is not being allowed here, because my I have deleted my API keys and I have to recreate it again. So it's not allowing me at this moment, but that's not a problem. You can still go ahead and use it unless and until you want to deploy that particular model. I would be showing you up on what are the kind of changes that what we can do inside it, and how can we use the models inside it as well. First thing, like what we saw, this is the old, this is something that what we saw inside the PPT, and this one is like a bit different one, because Azure OpenAI Studio has migrated to a later version from last week to last week, and from which very recently, and from which it has been changed. So consider you want to deploy a model. When you want to deploy a model which is of your own, then you would be going and using the deploy fine tuned model. Or when you want to use it as deploy the base model here refers something like the model that what you have, GPT-4, GPT 3.5, oh one, the version that what we saw over there, right inside the model tab. It would be the same thing that what you would be using here as well. Like you would be having different kind of thing, and when you select on, it would be asking you for what model family it belongs to. So it's something like, this is the model family. Okay, this is the model family that what I am referring to. And when you click on confirm, then it means that it would be giving you up with the model being created for it. And one such model that what I have created here is like the sample model that what I have. So when you want that particular model to be used, you have the different kind of the deployment being here, right? So when you have different version being available, you can have the deployment being chosen there. Or if you just have one, then what it would be trying to use is like, you would just have the you will be having the various kind of the things being added to your thing, and from there you can go ahead and start using it. Or if you have something like, you want to ensure on what kind of the data that what you have, then what you would be doing is like, you have to go on with the quota here refers something like the capacity that what you have for your particular subscription. Say in case like you have, it all depends on the tokens that what we try to use on, right? So token here refers to like one fourth of the word is something called as the token. So you will be giving on with the token, and if your token has been done, then you would be using it, and you would be like, you would not be able to use that more out of it, and you have to request for the quota, and your quota would be then accessed, and that would be given you access for the same, and it would be given you back with the data out of it. So these are some things that what it would try to do. And say in case like content filters is something that what we saw, right? Like you will be creating a content filter here, and when you click on the content filter, you would be defining on what threshold it has to work on. Like it can be of violent or hate or sex, or that can be of self harm, that can be of anything. If you set it to be like medium, then it allows the low kind of, and it would be blocking the medium and high. If you set it to low, then it means like it would be blocking even if it's kind of like low. Say in case like I want to, you are asking it like, how can I cut a tomato, is something that what you are, um i I chopped my tomato, I chopped my tomato is something that what you are trying to refer here, and that's kind of like no violence at all. But I chopped my hand while chopping the tomato is something that what you are trying to give, then it means like it's a self harm. It will not allow, kind of like you does not provide it any kind of harm, but that has to be allowed is something that what you try to give. And that can be of text, or that can be of image, that can be of anything, that would be blocking it, and that would be giving you back with the result out of it. So this is all about the content filter. The next part is something like when you want your assistant to be used. Like, yeah, this is something that what we try to do on. So say in case like you want to load in your own data, like that can be of any data that what you have over there, that can be of any data that what you have over there. So it can be of AI search, blob storage, that can be of blob storage, or that can be of any URL that what you try to provide on. So that can be of anything that what you try to do on over it. And if you are kind of like just want the web and URL to be loaded, then what it would be doing is like it would be expecting you for sure to create the Azure blob storage being created. And when you have created the blob storage and everything, then it assures you that we will be having the data being created. And when you don't have the blob, then that would be creating you with that. And even if you don't have a resource, then that would be prompting you to create over there. And you can go ahead and click on it, and once you are done with that, then it assumes you that you can go ahead and start using with the Azure OpenAI services. And from there it would be like, you can go ahead and start using it. You can create the name over it, and once you are done with that, then that would be like creating the name, and it would be giving you back with the result out of it. So, say in case no Azure OpenAI is being provided, and once you are done with it, you can give the URL that what you want to try to load on as part of the data source location over here. So it totally depends on whether it's a vector search or semantic search or keyword search, Based on that, it would try to give you back with the result of it. So what do you mean by semantic search or vector search is something like keyword search. It would be getting a keyword out of it, and it would try to get the phrase out of it, and it would try to give you back with the result out of it. But semantic search is something like it would be trying to give you back with the result, which would be like it would try to understand as a whole thing, and it would be then giving you back with the result based on that. And it would be giving you like, like it that would be taken as the prompt, and that would be given as the input to the model, and from which it would be given you out as the completion. That's the major difference between the keyword and the semantic search. And vector is something like you can have the vector being loaded for it. Like you will be giving the vector databases being allocated, and from that vector databases being allocated, you can have the various kind of data being loaded to it, and from which you can select on it. So this is something that what you can try to do on. And as we saw, we have something called as the completions playground over it, right? So what does this completion playground is like? When you start typing in over here, then your answer would be of high generate a email is something that what you try to give on. And when you try to give on, then it would be trying to give you back with the result out of it. And I'm so sorry that it is not working at this moment because my API key is kind of like expired, and it would be like the subscription that what I have is been suspended as at this moment. So it's not working due to over usage. It is not allowing me to create another resource of at this moment. So when you type in over here, what it would be doing is like it would be giving you back with the result below. So these are some things that what we try to what is the difference between the completions playground as well as with the chat playground. So this is the chat playground and this is the completions playground. So chat, as I said, you would have the chat kind of interaction being available, and inside the completions you will have the line being defined, and from that you will have the completions being there below to you. And one notable thing, in any of the playground which has been available is something like you have the temperature, and then probabilities, all those things are being mapped. So your temperature plays a major role, wherein if your temperature is kind of like mapped to, it can vary from 0 to 1. It can set to zero point 0.5, or it can set to 0.75 or anything of that sort. Zero point 0.1, zero point 0.2, zero point 0.5, 0.8, something of that sort. When it's something like 0, it would range from 0 to 1 alone. And if it's something like ranging to 0 to zero point 0.5, it would be of your creativity would be of less. Like your creativity can be of high when it's been given from zero point 0.5 to 1. Like what we mean here as creativity is something like we will have the answers being generated by its own, right? Like say in case generate a poem of yourself for database is something that what we saw inside the PPT. So when we give it something like 1, then the creativity would be of good for that format. But when we set it to 0, it would say something like a wanted data alone, but it would not be adding up and it would not be giving you back with the result out of it. That's where the difference plays on, and it would be giving you with the result out of it, and from there you can go ahead and start using it. So this is all about the Azure OpenAI, parent. You can go ahead and start using the different kind of the contents and tools which are available for you. And data files is something like what we saw. It's something like where you have for batch and then fine tuning for assistant everything. And what you would be doing here is like you will be having the various kind of the that can be something like the data file can be loaded over here, like say in case you want to load in the data, and that data has to be of that data has to be of any format that's been supported over here. And once you are done with that, then you would be having the various kind of the inputs being available, and from there you can start using it. So is something that what we refer here, like what it majorly does is something like it would be like how should your how should your data should act on when it's something related to assistant or batch or fine tuning. So fine tuning, as we saw, it's like when we want to build a model out of ourselves, then we would be going with the fine tuning model, right? Like you would be giving a model which has been like you will be creating a model of yourself, and that model can be used for your refinement purpose. Then you will be going and creating the fine tuned model out of it. And batch jobs is something like when you have the different kind of the batch being there, then you would be going and using the batch jobs over here. So what do we mean by batch job is something like when you want it to be generated batch by batch, then you go and depend on batch job, and that particular batch would have various jobs being done with it, and from there you can go ahead and start using it. That becomes something like batch job, and you can create the batch job over there, and you can upload files, or you can have the files from your Azure OpenAI or Blob or anything of that sort, and you can go ahead and create it. These are the ways that what you can try to do on. And we saw something like the roles and responsibilities, right? So what do we do here is like we had given it something like you are an AI assistant alone. So what can we do here as part of it is like we want to make it something like we want to make it something like examples has to be mentioned. Then you have user and assistant being available as we saw in the roles, right? So this is like roles, assistant, and the instruction that what you try to give on. And when you want to change your assistant as well, then you can given something like you have to act on like the this thing, like Shakespeare writing assistant is something that what we try to choose on here as such, and you will be giving on here, and that particular assistant has to be chosen. What your output can be of will be given here, and from there it would try to give you back with the result based on that format. Okay. Once you, this is about the overall development on how you can develop the code. And now that you have the sample code option being there, you want to deploy the same inside any of the C sharp or Python or any of that sort. What you would be doing is like you would be clicking on just with the sample code, And from that sample code, you have the key authentication, intra authentication, different kind of things over here. And from there, you will have the client secret and everything. When you go down, you will have the option being there. And this is something like we had created, and these all things would be of same. It would be the service that what you had created on, and your key would be described here. And as I told, I don't have the key at this moment because my subscription is not allowing me to create more keys at this moment, so it is not allowing us to create a key. So it's like we will have the client everything and completions, and inside the completion you have the roles. Like what we saw, we have the different kind of the roles being defined, like the content and the role will be defined. Temperature is also something that what we saw, right? Like point 0.7 is something that what we had set over here. So we can we can just go ahead and start using it by just copying the code, and from which it would be getting used on. As simple as that. That can be changed to any of the programming language that what you wish to have on. So this is all about the thing. And when you want to deploy it as web app, like I was mentioning, you can deploy it as a new web app, or you can deploy it as existing web app as well. It is not allowing me at this moment. Like you can give the name and you can give the subscription, and once you are done with it, you will be giving the pricing plan over there. And when you click on deploy, it would get deployed with your Power BI or Power Apps, and from there it would try to use on. That's it. It's all about the Azure OpenAI and the services that what we can try to use on. Um, yeah. So I had missed something on, like daily we saw, right? We had saw something about chat completions and everything. Chat is something like 3.5 version above, and then image is something like DALI and everything. So you would be coming here and using the DALI option over here, and you would be developing it. And completion is something like you would be having the playground option being there, and from there you can go ahead and use that. Okay, with that, I am stopping here for any questions that what you have. And if you don't have questions at this moment, at least, and if you have a questions at the later point of view, I would be happy to help you at any part of the Azure OpenAI related questions, or the OpenAI related questions, and happy to help you with that part. Okay, is there some questions that needs to be? What are the questions should we have while using chain of thought, ma'am? Okay, it's like it totally depends on your requirement. It's something like what does the chain of thought mean is like, if your answer totally depends on the previous answer, then you can go ahead and use the chain of thought. Something something like, how can we say, it's, say in case like you have a data which is being given by which is being, like, you would be giving in the data, and from that data it has to try to move on with the second part of the question, and from that second part of the question it would try to pick up the third part and it has to answer on. So it totally depends, and you can have the various kind of the question based on your requirement, and the chain of thought, if you know the chain of thought principle alone, then that would be of like a good one. Like you can build it in any of the requirement that what you have. How can I make free cloud projects without being charged? If you are a student, you are being offered with uh, student subscription, you can go ahead and use that. But I don't think so we can have, like, how do we say, we don't have any kind of like free as such, but the subscription would be of free only if you are a student. You can enjoy that unless and until you will not have a free subscription. You have to give the you have to give your credit card details or card details, and once you are done with it, you will have 1 year of free subscription plan, and you can use that. But that's limited to how you want to use on, like you can maximum use 1 to 2 projects at a time. So this is somehow it works as like everything. How can we make a free cloud website by using the Azure OpenAI without any charges? Free cloud website by using Azure OpenAI is something like, it's the same answer that what I had given to Cyber Guy as well. So yeah. Okay. Is there some other question that needs to be answered? What are the industries? What other industries are using the Azure OpenAI? Okay, 1 second. Let me bring my slide back. Okay, these are some of the use cases which are being available for Azure OpenAI. Like you can have content generation, chatbot and virtual assistant, translation, text summarization, and sentiment analysis. So, what happens here is like the industry which uses any of these. Say, in case like when you want to build an the virtual assistant, then you can go ahead and still use the Azure OpenAI. Or if you want it to be like translated, then you will be having that. Or say in case like you want the content filtration operation to be done, then you will be having that. Or sentiment analysis, any kind of sort that what you have on. And the industry, I don't want to specify some of the industry because Azure OpenAI is one of the trending technology. I mean, one of the trending part which has been available, and as it's part of the cloud, wherever the Azure is being used, they would be supporting the Azure OpenAI, and you can have the almost you almost we can say 50% of, not even 50, it's almost 70% of industry which uses the Azure OpenAI because of its safety purpose. Hope it answered your question. Can we utilize OpenAI through Azure to generate data analysis report? Yes, you can. Um, you can use the model, and from that model, it would be passing. I mean, you can pass it as a report, right? So from there, you can connect it to the Power BI, and as I said, we can have it as web app being published, right? So you can publish as a web app, and from that web app you can go ahead and uh, choose that. Just give it a try so that you will understand on how it works, so that we can get in touch, like say in case like unless and until everything, when someone teaches you or someone makes you clear, you will feel like you had understood, but when you put your hands on, you will get some questions over there. It's the same way that you can go ahead and use the Azure OpenAI as well for analysis or any kind of report that what you want to generate on. It totally depends, like how you want to do on. Like you would be connecting it with the Power BI, and from there you can go ahead and choose the data that what you want with the help of your data, and from which you can answer it. Yeah, hope it answered your question. Is there some other question, or I would be happy to take up the questions offline as well. Okay, if there are no further questions, without any delay, I would like to okay, I don't want to stress it over there. Like without any delay, I would like to if you have further queries, yeah, I would like to take that up as offline chat. Anamika, can we end the meeting if we are okay with it? With that, thank you all for joining one of the longest session that what we have for today. And I would be happy to answer your queries. And thanks for hosting Azure Developer Community for my session. And it was a great chance for me. Thank you. That too
Thank
on a
you.
Saturday.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Bhargavi.
Yeah.
And to all the students, thank you for being here today. And I hope the session has given you some insight. We'll be happy to host more sessions as per your requirement.
Yeah,
And
sure.
we look forward for your response now. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you so
Bhargavi.
much,
Have a good,
Anamika.
good
Yeah.
day. Good day.
Good
Bye.
day.